We consider ourselves highly educated and knowledgeable, but the truth is that we don't know ourselves at all. We gather information about the entire world, but we have neither the time nor the inclination to search for ourselves. We have become complete strangers to ourselves. All our knowledge of right and wrong is just an old pretense that we've accepted without thinking. In the beginning, good didn't mean helping others. Good was used for those who were strong, powerful, and of high status. They called their own strength and freedom good and considered ordinary people bad or mediocre. This was the powerful people's way of showing their superiority. But then a major reversal happened. The weak and oppressed, burning with jealousy toward the strong, completely flipped the story. Priestly types cleverly said that the strong are evil, and we, the weak, are truly good. They turned strength into sin and their own helplessness into virtue. This was the world's biggest scam, the greatest fraud. When humans were caged in society's prison, they couldn't express their predatory nature outwardly, so they turned their power against themselves. This gave birth to bad conscience, the sting of guilt. The priest convinced humans that they are sinners, and that their suffering is punishment for their own sins. Humans started tormenting themselves to become society's domesticated animals. Humans aren't averse to pain. They're only averse to meaningless pain. These ascetic principles filled humans' emptiness and gave them a purpose in life. Humans prefer wanting nothingness over not wanting anything at all. The priest turned this renunciation into a weapon for gaining power. This book is meant to kick those dead old principles that are still making us sick today. This isn't a book for dispensing knowledge. Rather, it's a hammer to break the chains you've been wearing as jewelry until now. If you have the courage to come out of the intoxication of old goodness, this book is for you. We people who consider ourselves highly educated actually don't know ourselves at all. The simple reason behind this is that we've never tried to find ourselves. Our hearts are always busy gathering external information, like a bee just collecting honey. We never had time or heart for life's past events and real experiences. We have become complete strangers to ourselves, and we will always keep considering ourselves wrong. For us, it's absolutely true that every person is farthest from himself. My thoughts on right and wrong have become much stronger and clearer than before. These ideas emerge from within me, just like fruits grow from a tree's strong roots. For us philosophers, it's right that all our thoughts emerge from one place. These thoughts are strong proof of our own good health and our own soil. Whether you like this fruit or not makes no difference to us or the tree. When I was just a 13-year-old child, the question, where is the root of evil, was chasing me. In that childish ignorance, I made God the father of evil and held him responsible. Later, I abandoned those useless ideas about God and searched for the real root of evil in this world. Now, my real question was, why did humans create these strict rules of right and wrong? Did these rules advance humans, or are they a sign of the flaws in our lives? A small book by Paul Ray provoked me to present my ideas to the world. That book was filled with crappy, inverted English thinking. Reading it immediately made my mind say no. In my book on evil, I clearly explained the completely different thinking of strong people and slaves. I also clarified that the real meaning of punishment isn't just to scare people. Justice actually began as an agreement between two equal powers, not punishment. Even then, my real aim wasn't to create new stories about the roots of right and wrong. My real question was, what is the true worth or value of today's moral values? In this, I had to wrestle with my old master Schopenhauer, who had deified pity and sacrifice. Schopenhauer gave so much respect to pity and self-erasing habits that he said no to life itself, but I developed deep suspicion toward these pitying habits and felt they were the greatest danger to humanity. In them, I saw the beginning of the end and a weariness that turns human will against life itself. This pitying thinking is making educated Europeans sick, and some new destruction is about to emerge. Old great thinkers like Plato, Spinoza, and Kant also considered pity lowly and useless. The question of pity isn't small. It's a completely new mind-twisting path. Anyone who walks this path will start doubting their old values and lose faith in right and wrong. We now have to tear apart these values and find out in what circumstances and why these rules were made. Until now, people have unquestioningly accepted that a good person is far better and more valuable than a bad one. But what if the truth is completely opposite? What if there's poison hidden in this goodness that pulls humans backward? What if this good thinking only sees today's comfort and destroys tomorrow's greatness? If so, this seemingly good thinking is the greatest danger, because it will never let humans rise high. We need to find information that no one has had before, and no one has tried to find. When this new path opened before me, I started searching for strong, fearless, hardworking companions who could support me. We have to see this hidden country of right and wrong with completely new eyes, as if discovering this land for the first time. I warned Dr. Ray to stop just talking imaginary things while sitting in the blue English sky. For a thinker, blue isn't needed, gray is, meaning the solid truth recorded in old papers. Dr. Ray read Darwin but started talking like today's weak people who have forgotten how to bite. They take these big problems of right and wrong very lightly, as if not worth serious thought. But for me, there's no greater work than this. And one day, we'll look at our old thinking as a joke. When we can laugh openly at our old thinking, only then will we get close to our soul's true destination. If this book doesn't make sense to someone or hurts their ears, it doesn't necessarily mean it's my fault. To understand my words, you'll have to read and work a bit on my old books. Only someone who has felt both deep pleasure and deep pain from every word of my book. Thus spoke Zarathustra can understand it. Feeling its height and clear light isn't everyone's capability. It's a privilege. These days, people don't take short and sharp things seriously because they think just reading is understanding. To truly understand anything, you have to chew it slowly and digest it, for which today's humans lack patience. If you want to understand the real meaning of my words, you have to become like a cow, not like a modern human. You have to repeatedly recall and ponder the words. Only then can you digest these bitter truths. Sills, Maria, July 1887. First essay, Good and Evil, Good and Bad. These English psychologists are like a puzzle, trying to find the history of right and wrong. Why do they always peek into the dirty corners of the human heart? They search for whether human right and wrong arose from old habits or forgetfulness. Do they want to belittle humans or have some old grudge against Christianity? People say they crawl in dirty places like frogs, but I think they are brave truth seekers who accept even truths against religion. Their intentions may be good, but they have no understanding of old history. They've dug up the roots of right and wrong, wrongly and misunderstood the meaning of the word good. They say people started calling actions useful to others good. Later, people forgot it was useful and just started considering it good. This is completely wrong. The word good was created by the strong, powerful, high-status people. They called themselves and their actions good to distinguish themselves from the weak and lowly. This sense of distance, the pathos of distance, gave them the right to determine their own value. Language was also created by powerful people to stamp everything with their mark. In the beginning, good didn't mean doing good to others. That happened later when herd habits developed and people started calling selflessness good. Today's Europe has this sick thinking, which people consider very great. Second, this English idea of forgetting is nonsense psychologically. If something is always useful, how can one forget it? Humans remember daily useful things even better. Herbert Spencer's idea is somewhat understandable. Good means useful. He said humans learned from experience what is useful and called it good. This path is also wrong, but at least it shows some sense. For me, the right path was a question. What was the original meaning of good in old languages? I saw that everywhere. High caste and noble people were the root of the word good. On the other hand, words for common and low caste became bad. For example, in German, bad originally just meant plain or common person. Today's Democrats hide this truth because they hate the roots of old history. This is the effect of crappy English thinking that throws mud on the world's reality. These noble people considered themselves far superior. They often called themselves powerful or rich, like the old word Aryan means. They called themselves truthful to appear, better than lying common people. On the other hand, bad often meant cowardly or dark-haired oppressed people. Blonde Aryans conquered dark-haired ancient people and ruled them. Today's democracy and socialism are actually a huge counterattack by those oppressed people. In ancient Roman language, good meant a warrior or strong fighter. In Germany too, good meant godlike or from a very high race. When high family people become priests, the meaning of right and wrong changes. Here words like pure and impure start being used to show high and low. In old times, pure just meant bathing and eating clean food. But priestly people made these words very complicated and dangerous. Priests' lifestyle is very sick because they always sit alone thinking. They make rules like giving up meat, fasting, staying away from women to fix themselves. But these priestly treatments proved 100 times more dangerous than the disease in priests' hands. Everything, whether hate or love, becomes very poisonous and scary. But because of these priests, human soul gained depth and became better than other animals. Warriors and priests' thinking has always been against each other because priests can't fight. For warriors, good means strong body, good health, hunting, dancing, and freedom. Priests hate warriors the most because they feel very weak in front of them. This weakness creates the dirtiest and most poisonous hatred in priests' hearts. The deepest and greatest revenge in the world has always been taken by priestly people because they are very cunning. The biggest example is the Jews, who flipped the entire right and wrong story against their enemies. The Jews said that only the poor, sick, suffering, and ugly are God's beloved and good. They said the rich, powerful, and strong are evil and tyrants who will always burn in hellfire. This is where the slaves' revolt in right and wrong began, which has been going on for the last 2,000 years. Today, this revolt has completely won, so we can't even see this scam. We think the weak are good, but this is all the result of those people's revenge fire. Don't you understand this? Something that took 2,000 years to win isn't easy to see at once. From the Jews' deep hatred was born a new and unique love. This new love wasn't the opposite of old hatred, but its highest and shining card. This Jesus, who talked of love and came to win for the poor, was actually a huge temptation. When the Jews thought far ahead and crucified their own Messiah, they did it so the whole world would easily swallow this deception. This drama of God crucified became the world's most dangerous and intoxicating temptation. Today it's confirmed that with this revenge, the Jews defeated every good thinking in the world. But why are you talking about high ideals? The truth is that common or slave people have completely won. If all this happened because of the Jews, we have to admit their work was the greatest in the world. The old masters are finished, and everywhere weak people's thinking has won. This is a poison that has spread in all humanity's body, and stopping it is now impossible. Today's church may seem old and useless, but everyone likes the poison it spread. Today's educated people run from the church, but they have no problem with its poison. The truth is that without the church, we free-thinking people could never have become so. A free-minded person who heard my words gave this reply. He was a simple, democracy-believing person who couldn't tolerate my silence. At this point, I have a lot to stay silent about, which he might never understand. The slaves' revolt in right and wrong begins when their revenge, jealousy, starts creating something new. These are people who can't actually do anything, so they console their hearts by imagining revenge in their minds. Strong people always start their world by saying yes to themselves, but slaves' thinking always starts by saying no to others. Slaves need an external enemy to stay alive. Every action of theirs is just an attack against others. Strong people's talk is completely different. They grow by their own will and find their own happiness. For them, low or bad is just a light thing to feel their goodness more. They say, We nobles, we strong, we happy, and live in their joy. If they ever consider common people wrong, they don't hate them poisonously, like weak people hate the strong. People's hatred has a carelessness. They don't make their enemy a big monster, ancient. Greek nobles used words for low caste with a kind of pity. They called weak people pitiful or unlucky, but there was no poisonous hatred in their hearts. For these strong people, happiness means working and always doing something. Completely opposite for oppressed weak people. Happiness means peace, rest, sleep, or drug-like comfort. Poisonous emotions rot in their hearts. So they just want rest from everything. A strong person trusts himself and is completely straightforward, truthful and innocent. On the opposite, a person burning in revenge isn't truthful or straightforward. His mind always searches for hiding places, secret paths, and back doors. He knows very well how to stay silent, remember things, and wait for the right moment. Such weak people become more cunning than strong ones because cunning is their biggest way to stay alive. Strong humans don't take enemies' bad words too much to heart and forget them quickly. They have so much power that they shake off old things and move forward. And this is real love for the enemy. They want a strong enemy whom they can respect. But the weak person burning in revenge first creates the idea of a bad enemy in his mind. Then opposing it, he pretends to be a good person. This is completely opposite to strong people's thinking. Strong people first create the idea of goodness from within themselves, then consider others bad. But in slaves' thinking, from hatred's fire, first the devil, first evil arises. These two words, bad and evil, sound similar, but their meaning is completely different. For slaves, evil is the person whom strong people call good. That is, powerful rulers and strong humans are the biggest devil. Enemy and slaves. As the truth is that these strong people are very noble, respectful, and loyal among their own. But when they go out where strangers are, they become open, ferocious animals. Their society laws don't matter to them, and they feel great happiness even in bloodshed. Every strong race has a golden beast, a blonde beast hidden inside that always searches for prey and victory. Whether Roman, Arab, Japanese, or ancient German warriors, all have this animal panting to come out. Wherever these strong people went, they left marks of wildness, and they were proud of it. Their courage was so mad and sudden that weak people started calling them devil enemies or vandals. Ancient poets sang and praised most about these warriors and their terrifying deeds. Even today, when a German comes into power, old fear arises in Europeans' hearts. If we say all progress, all culture means just domesticating this beast called human, it would be very shameful. Today, to make humans domesticated and straightforward, slaves' hatred is used as a tool. Today's human is neither strong nor scary. He's just become an ordinary insect. Europe today is rotting with sick and tired people who think they are the highest humans. Today, we don't fear humans. We feel disgust because he's become very small and weak now. I can't stop my eyes and last hope. What do I hate most? What makes me suffocate and faint? Bad air, bad air. When some crappy, sick soul comes near me, I have to smell its rot. Humans can bear a lot. Poverty, hardship, bad weather, illness, hard work, loneliness. We are born for struggle and keep coming out into victories. Golden light again and again. We are strong and unbreakable people, always ready for even harder tasks. But sometimes show me something completely strong, successful and scary. Show me a human, seeing whom faith in humanity can be restored. But today's European human is becoming small and ordinary, and this is our greatest danger. Today, nothing big is happening. Everything is falling downward. People are becoming very straightforward, sensible, comfort, loving, and ordinary. Humans are improving every day, meaning becoming weaker and more domesticated. Europe's greatest destruction is that we've stopped fearing humans, but now love and hope for humans are also ending. Seeing humans makes us tired, and this is today's greatest rot. This is nihilism. Now back to the point. How did the weak person burning in revenge create the word good? This needs to be understood. If small lambs hate big predatory birds, there's nothing strange. Lambs say among themselves, "These predatory birds are bad, and those not like them, meaning us lambs, are good." Predatory birds can only laugh at lambs, thinking and say, "We really like these small lambs." They're very tasty to eat, expecting power not to show. Power is complete stupidity and madness. Saying a powerful person shouldn't defeat others or become master is like telling weakness to become strong. Power means doing something, showing effect and achieving victory. Old mistakes in language and mind have greatly deceived us in this. We consider lightning and its flash two different things, as if lightning is flashing. Similarly, we consider strong humans and their power separate, as if humans can show or not show power if they want. But in reality, there's no doer behind the deed. The deed is everything. Oppressed and weak people very cunningly say, "Let's not become like those bad people. Let's become good." According to them, good is the one who doesn't hurt anyone, stays silent and leaves revenge to God. But this isn't their virtue, it's their helplessness and compulsion. Weak people take support of this lie. Their weakness isn't compulsion, but their own choice. They believe in the idea of soul to call their helplessness greatness or goodness. This is the world's biggest and dirtiest self-deception by weak people. Do you want to see how big principles are made in this world? Who has the courage? Okay, peek inside this dark factory, but wait, let your eyes get used to this fake and shining light. Now tell me what you see down there. I can't see anything, but I hear a lot. Whispers and dirty voices from corners. These people are lying a lot, and every word has sugar-like sweetness. They're calling their weakness virtue, no doubt, and tell me, they call their helplessness goodness of heart and their fear humility. They call obeying those they hate obedience, saying God told them to do so. They call their cowardice patience, their fear patience. Their compulsion not to take revenge, they call forgiveness. Go further. These people are very sad, but say God has chosen them. They think today's suffering will turn into big reward and happiness. Tomorrow, they lick the souls of strong people to hide their helplessness. But see the biggest cunning of these black magicians. What name do they give to hatred and revenge, jealousy? Now I understand. They say, we good people are the true people. This isn't revenge, but desire for justices. Victory. They don't hate their enemy, but evil and dishonesty. They're just waiting for God's victory. They search only for loving brothers like themselves in the whole world. And to forget their sufferings, what dream do they trust? They call it final judgment, last judgment, and kingdom of God. For now, they're living on hope and trust. What trust? What hope? Weak people also want to become powerful one day. In this greed, they wait for God's kingdom. They think the reward for today's poverty and helplessness will come in eternal life after death. Ancient writer Dante wrote on Hell's Gate, love created this. But on Christian Paradise's gate should be written, hatred created this. Because what's the real happiness there? Great St. Thomas Aquinas clearly said, people living in heaven will see those burning in hell. They'll get real pleasure in their happiness only by seeing others suffer. Ancien Christian leader Tertullian said even harsher, the day God returns will be a spectacle worth watching. We'll see those kings and great thinkers who mocked us burning in fire. The pleasure of seeing those actors and poets suffering will be greater than any game in the world. This is these good people's real and poisonous revenge. For thousands of years, a terrifying war has been going on between two different ways of right and wrong. Today's strong human is one in whose mind these two ways are fighting each other. The biggest mark of this war in history is registered as Rome against Jews. For Romans, Jews were humanity's enemies because they didn't accept noble principles. Jews were so expert in revenge jealousy that they challenged Rome's power. But today who won? Rome or Jews? Today everyone in Rome bows to Jews. Jesus, Peter, Paul, Mary, all Jews who completely defeated Rome. Later in the Renaissance, old strong principles awoke again, but the church suppressed them again. In the French Revolution, common crowds' hatred won again, and nobles were finished. But meanwhile Napoleon came, who was a living example of old great principles. Napoleon was a human far above common people and much more. powerful. He showed the world what a strong human is like and how he breaks crowd rules. Is this war over? No, this war is just paused for some time and will flare up again. Shouldn't we wait for that old strong fire to flare up again? We should want it with all our power and bring it back to the world. My writing means exactly this. We go beyond good and evil. But remember, this doesn't mean going beyond good and bad. To know reality, we have to see what language tells us about right and wrong. Also, doctors and healers have to tell which rules are poison for humans. The good of the crowd and the good of some strong people are two completely different things. Thinking like the English, that what's good for the crowd is the highest principle, is stupidity. Now, all science together has to decide which rule truly makes humans strong. Second essay, guilt, bad conscience and similar things. Preparing an animal that can promise. Was this the strange task nature chose for humans? Forgetting's power is very great. Still, humans somehow learn to promise. Forgetting isn't laziness, but like closing mind's doors and windows for a while. If we don't forget old things, there's no place for new and good things in the mind. A person whose forgetting system fails is like a sick person with bad digestion. But to keep promises, humans developed the power to remember and their own will. To promise, humans had to make themselves trustworthy, calculable, so they could guarantee their future. This is the long story of how the burden of responsibility for words came upon humans. To make humans trustworthy, they were first molded into society's mold to make them uniform and straightforward. Old customs, morality of mores held humans like a tight social straitjacket. Because of this strictness and stupid tasks, humans today became capable of accounting and trust. After this long, hard work, the free human who emerged isn't a slave to old customs or society. He is master of his own will and feels his power and freedom in every vein. Such a person respects only those who are strong and keep their word. He kicks away lies that promise and break immediately because they are weak. This power to control oneself he calls conscience, and this is his victory. The history of humans, this conscience is very old and took a lot of time to mature. Guaranteeing oneself and taking pride in oneself is a very late ripened fruit. How to hammer something forever into the mind of a forgetful animal like humans was a big problem. Ancient people found only one way. If something needs to be remembered, burn it on the body to create memory. Humans used blood, sacrifice, and cutting the body, very scary ways. Looking deeply at all religions, they are huge, cruel systems to torment. Humans' self-torment is also a way to make some things stone lines in the mind forever. Look at Germany's old laws. Stoning criminals or boiling in hot oil was common. With these terrifying methods, humans learned to say no in society and started keeping promises, what we call reason or wisdom today. Humans bought with a lot of bloodshed and endless cruelty. Now the question is, where did this feeling of being guilty or bad conscience come from? Those searching for roots of right and wrong have no understanding of old times and history. Do they even suspect that the word sin actually emerged from money debt? In ancient times, punishment wasn't given because the criminal did wrong with free will. Then punishment just meant venting anger, like parents beat children when hurt. The only old solid way to compensate every loss was to give the criminal equal physical pain. This whole game came from the old debtor-creditor relationship. When we look at ancient deals, we feel great suspicion and disgust. Here promises were made, and to remember promises, endless cruelty, strictness, and pain were used. The debtor would pledge his body, wife, or life to assure the creditor. In ancient Egypt, even after death, the creditor wouldn't let the debtor's corpse rest. The creditor had the right to cut any part of the debtor's body. In Rome's old laws, it was written clearly, no need for measurement in cutting limbs. In reality, instead of money or land for debt, a crappy kind of pleasure was gotten. The pleasure of testing power on a helpless human and tormenting him, which is very dirty. Even an ordinary person would feel big and master for a few moments by punishing the debtor. The real meaning of this compensation was getting legal right to cruelty on another. Right and wrong concepts like sin, conscience, and duty are completely soaked in blood and cruelty from the beginning. Even today, the old dirty smell of blood and torment comes from these things and never ends. Tormenting someone was like a big festival for ancient people, and a bit of cruelty was hidden in all their pleasures. Until recently, tormenting criminals publicly at kings' weddings and big gatherings was common and fun. Today we get sad reading books like Don Quixote, but ancient people would go mad laughing. Seeing others sad feels good, but tormenting them with own hands is much more fun. This sounds bitter, but it's humans' old and real truth that can't be denied. No big festival was complete without some cruelty, and punishment itself was a celebration when humans weren't ashamed of their cruelty. Life was much more fun than today. Now humans have started feeling ashamed of their inner animal and habits. This has darkened the sky. This disgust with life is a bad result of domesticating humans and teaching goodness. In trying to become angels, humans have weakened their stomachs so much that their own reality now smells bad to them. Today people consider suffering life's biggest flaw, but ancient people took great pleasure in tormenting others. Perhaps pain didn't sting as much in old times as it does to today's delicate, educated people. In terms of numbers, my belief is that in highly cultured people, upper 10,000 to millions, pain tolerance becomes much less than common people. Humans aren't averse to suffering. They're averse only to meaningless suffering. That's why ancient people created gods above to enjoy the spectacle of their suffering and torment. For them, life was a fair or play that gods watched from above with great pleasure and interest. This whole sin game started from the old dry buyer-seller relationship. Humans' oldest work was pricing, calculating and exchanging things. That's why humans started considering themselves animals that can measure everything in the world. Even before society formed, humans learned this big rule. Everything has a price and everything can be paid. This was the oldest and simplest meaning of justice, where powerful people agreed among themselves, looking from old accounts. Society is the creditor, and we all are its debtors. Living in society, we enjoy its protection and comforts that save us from external dangers. But when someone breaks the law, he breaks his old promise to society. He enjoys benefits but cheats society in return. Society throws that person back into wild state where anyone can do cruelty to him. In old times, punishment meant exactly this: crushing the enemy mercilessly after defeating in war. When society becomes even more powerful, it doesn't consider small mistakes big dangers. Now society starts protecting criminals from people's endless anger and tries to settle matters. The richer and stronger society becomes, the softer and more humane it behaves with criminals. It becomes so powerful that it can leave harm doers without punishment. It can say, "These small insects can't ruin me. I'm strong enough to raise them." Justice began with every loss must be compensated. But in the end, this justice changes itself and leaves those who can't pay. Let people give this change of justice the sweet name mercy. But remember, mercy is only the right of the most powerful who is above law. Today, some people say justice emerged from revenge jealousy, which is very wrong. This crappy thinking is flourishing today among those people and rebels who call their hatred goodness. These people greatly deceive the world by calling their hatred, jealousy, and revenge fire justice. They call strong people's power and hunger to advance evil and justify their weakness. An attacking strong person is much closer to justice than a crying weak person. Strong people can see everything clearly because of their power, and their conscience is very clear. On the opposite, revenge-burning people always see the world crookedly, with hatreds blindfold all history witnesses that laws were always made and run by strong and powerful people. Powerful people made laws to stop the useless and mad revenge fire running among weak people. With their power, they told people what to do and what not to maintain peace. Laws came after lawmaking before that. There was no such thing in the world. Life's real meaning is attacking, exploiting others and crushing others to advance by becoming strong. If we make a law where no fight happens and everyone is equal, it would be life's great waste. Such thinking is a secret way to completely destroy humanity, nothingness, because life can't run without power struggle. Those who say every will should be considered equal are actually life's biggest enemies and hypocrites. The reason for punishment and its beginning are two completely different things that people often mix. Old thinkers were very naive, who searched only one meaning, like revenge or fear, behind punishment. They thought the reason punishment is given today is the same as why it began. But truth is that a thing's birth and its today's benefit are two different worlds. When a strong power takes a weak thing under control, it gives it completely new meaning. With every new victory, old things' meaning and reason are completely erased. Actually, progress means will to power's hunger that crushes weak and makes new path. Today's people forget this power struggle and just talk uselessly about adapting to circumstances. Punishment has two parts. One is the old custom or drama done publicly. The other is its meaning, that always changes like water with time. And neither today, punishment has no one meaning. Many meanings have mixed. Now you can't surely say why someone is being punished. A thing's meaning can be told only when it has no old history. In old times, punishment had different meanings. Sometimes to separate criminal from society, sometimes for revenge. Sometimes punishment meant debt compensation. Sometimes celebrated like festival. Sometimes punishment meant declaring war against enemy to crush society's rebels. These many meanings of punishment kept changing with time and climbing over each other. Today it's all so tangled that giving one clear straight talk is impossible. People think punishment awakens criminals' conscience, but this is a big misunderstanding. In reality, prisoners in jail rarely have regret or sadness. Punishment forces criminals to feel even harder, colder, and completely separate from society. Criminals see that police and judges happily do the same things they did. Police also secretly follow, deceive, and force. So why should criminals consider themselves wrong? For criminals, punishment is just bad luck or a suddenly fallen heavy rock. Old thinker Spinoza also said the same. Regret is just a kind of deep sadness when something doesn't happen as we thought. Criminals silently bear punishment like illness or death as a bad experience. Punishment doesn't make humans better. It just makes them more cunning and clever. They just learn more caution and new, hiding ways to avoid getting caught next time. Becoming sensible doesn't mean they've truly come to the right path. Now, I'll tell you the real root of conscience, bad conscience, which is a big disease for humans. This started when humans had to leave freedom and be imprisoned inside society's walls. It was like forcing sea animals to live on land. All old ways of humans, free and wild actions, suddenly closed, and they became helpless. Now, instead of old wild style, they had to trust their very weak mind and thinking. When humans couldn't express strength, hatred, and cruelty outward, they turned it all against themselves. This is called depth in humans, or their soul, which was very ordinary before that. Wild animal who roamed free now started gnawing and tormenting its own body. Humans became their own enemy and made themselves a terrifying jungle and prison. This is what we call conscience or bad conscience, the most scary disease of humanity from which they're still sick. But because of this, humans became an interesting animal that amazed even gods above. Humans now became not a destination, but a path. And a very big promise. This change wasn't gradual, it was a sudden attack and big disaster. Strong people forcibly molded weak into a mold to build a strong state. These golden beasts of prey or conquering races suddenly come and change everything with their power. State wasn't born from paper, agreement, or contract. It was born from powerful people's will and their cruelty. These strong people don't get trapped in right, wrong, or responsibility. They are born free because of their cruelty. Common humans' freedom couldn't come out, and they started attacking themselves. This was the moment when the dirty seed of bad conscience was first planted in humans. Don't underestimate this bad conscience just because it looks very dirty and bad. This is the same old will to power that builds external state, but now it's working inside humans. Humans now started tormenting their old animal habits and enjoying giving themselves pain from this work of crushing their own freedom. New ideas of beauty and greatness were born in the world. Not today's people who say self-sacrifice is very good. Its real root is just cruelty. Without self-torment, good ideas could never be born because they're all results of self-torment. Humans made themselves prey and turned their soul into a tormenting place. This bad conscience is definitely a disease, but it's like a woman's pregnancy. In ancient times, humans connected the debtor-creditor relationship with their ancestors. Tribe people thought whatever they are today is because of ancestors, sacrifices and power. They thought they have a huge debt to ancestors that they'll pay with sacrifice and worship. As the tribe became powerful, fear and debt to ancestors also increased. And finally they made them gods. Beginning wasn't from love, but from this fear and unbearable burden of unpaid debt. History shows gods this debt didn't end with tribes ending. As God's idea grew, humans' burden of being guilty also grew. With Christian gods coming, this debt and guilt feeling reached the world's highest point. But as people today are leaving faith in God, this debt burden is slowly decreasing. If one day God's fear completely ends, humans will again become innocent and free like before. Guilt and duty have been so deeply stuffed into humans' bad conscience that paying it seems almost impossible. These people made sure humans can never pay their debt and keep getting punishment forever. Then Christianity played a very cunning move that people consider great work. They said God himself will sacrifice to pay humans' debt, meaning the creditor himself died for the debtor, and called it love. What's really happening underneath all this? Can you understand this scam? That wild animal inside humans whom outward attack was stopped from now searches ways to torment itself. They created God's idea just to call their natural habits sin and torment themselves. They created paradise and hell, heaven and hell, like scary games to give themselves never-ending pain. This human is truly a mad and sick animal, busy poisoning its own soul. God's idea wasn't always created to show humans low. It can have other good meanings too. Look at ancient Greek gods. They were just glorious shadows of strong and powerful people themselves. Those gods didn't teach humans to hate themselves, but helped enjoy their freedom. When a Greek made a mistake, they called it not sin, but just stupidity. They said perhaps some god confused their mind and saved their respect. Now, I have 3 questions. People will ask, am I creating a new principle, a new ideal, or completely breaking the old one? Have you ever thought how big and bitter a price has to be paid to create any big principle in the world? To build a new temple, an old temple has to be completely mixed into dust first. This is the real law. Today's human is a very dirty result of thousands of years of self-torment and wounding own soul. We've considered our natural habits bad, making them never-ending part of our bad conscience. Today, we need a strong mind that has strength to bear war, danger and pain, and very strong health. That person will definitely come who will save us from this rotten dead principles and give new hope to live on this earth again. That person will defeat God and emptiness and free us again. We can also call him Antichrist, who will definitely come one day. But now I should just stay silent, because the right to say further things is only with futures very strong. The people, such things real right, is only with Zarathustra, who has the strength to live by his own will and power without any God. Third essay, what is the meaning of ascetic ideals? What's the real meaning of these ascetic principles? For artists, it has no one meaning. For educated people, it's a way to become high-minded. For women, it's just another show or shine. But for most sick and weak people, it's a weapon. Through it, they pretend to be much better than the world. For priests, it's the biggest and surest way to gain power. Humans' will can't sit empty. It definitely needs some purpose. Humans prefer wanting emptiness over not wanting anything. Artists like Richard Wagner in old age suddenly pretended chastity. Why? He abandoned his old strong talks and became completely opposite. Was a great artist changing like this a big scam? Truth is, there's no real fight between pleasure and purity. Strong and happy people easily live between both. Great thinkers like Hafiz found real pleasure in life's this conflict. But those who have lost to their life worship purity. Why did a man like Wagner, who created Parsifal as a manly character, make him impotent and stupid? Did he really become a true Christian in old age? Was a Christian doing this knowingly, or was it just a joke? A great artist is one who knows to laugh at his work and himself. If it wasn't a joke, it's dirty hatred against reason and pleasure. Wagner earlier talked of freedom and fun life, but in the end, he returned to old sick ideas. He told his disciples, "There's no escape anywhere. We should always separate artists from their work. Artists are just clay or dung from which crop grows. To enjoy the crop, it's better to forget the dirt of the soil." If Homer himself was a great warrior, he could never write Achilles. Artists always stay far from real world. They only know pretense. Wagner got trapped in this net and lost his freedom. He drowned his art in rotten Christian ideas and emptiness. Artists have no freedom of their own. They always remain servants of some religion, old custom, or powerful people. They lack courage to stand alone and always need support or big name. Richard Wagner also took support of thinkers like Schopenhauer to make his new principles look big. Schopenhauer called music the highest thing and said music is direct voice of human will. This made the musician a priest or messenger of God. In this power's intoxication, the artist finally started talking of renunciation that abandons the world. Kant understood beauty only from the viewer's eyes, not creators. He said beauty is what creates no personal benefit or greed in your mind when seen. But real artists, like Stendhal, said beauty is a promise of coming happiness that fills humans with passion. Schopenhauer accepted Kant's talk in a very strange way. For him, art and music were medicine to calm his sex hunger. For Schopenhauer, beauty was a few moments' break from ox-like life. When he saw beauty, he got relief from his torment and restlessness. So the real scam is, whenever a big thinker praises renunciation with bridges, understand he's trying to escape some very big pain or suffering. Don't get sad hearing torment. There's laughter in it too. Schopenhauer needed enemies for his happiness. He considered women and pleasure his enemies to have excuse to fight. Without enemies, he might have fallen sick. His anger was his medicine and real happiness. Wherever great thinkers have been in the world, they've always been averse to pleasure and sensuality. Schopenhauer just clearly opened this aversion in front of everyone. And real thinkers are drawn toward renunciation. If this isn't in someone, he's just a so-called philosopher. Every animal searches best conditions to show its power. Thinkers also run far from marriage to show their power. Marriage is the biggest obstacle and trouble in their path. Great people like Plato, Kant, and Schopenhauer were never married. Socrates perhaps married, just as a joke to show everyone what big stupidity marriage is. Buddha said on son's birth, "A chain or shackle has been put on my feet." He considered living at home like dirt and real freedom in leaving home. This renunciation is a very big bridge to freedom. Thinkers use this renunciation to increase their mental power. They're not calling the world bad, but taking their power to heights. These thinkers aren't reliable judges of this renunciation. They just think about themselves. They love only their work. They need freedom, distance from noise, and escape from unnecessary duties. They want to fly to heights where air is clean and fresh. They want their mind's dogs to stay tied peacefully, without noise. For them, renunciation is just a fun way to increase mental power. This renunciation has three big names: poverty, simplicity, and distance from women. Poverty, humility, and chastity. In every great thinker's life, these three things are definitely there in some way. But for them, it's no virtue, just necessary for their work. Their big mind controls other small desires. If they don't do this, big mind can't form. There's no greatness in this. It's just need. The desert where these free people live isn't a filmy place. The desert is these people themselves. They hate noise. Respect newspapers and today's politics. They want people not to recognize them, and they do their work quietly. They love old, cold silence. They want places where they don't have to shout to say their words. They run far from today's everything. Real thinkers run from three things: fame, big people, princes, and women. They are like shadows as sunsets. They become bigger. They live simply because they worry only about the growing thought. Inside, they save all time and power, just for that one thing. They have no worry about enemies or friends. They can easily forget everything. These people's chastity isn't religious hatred. Like athletes save power for match, these people save bodies, power for their work. Every artist knows that during big work preparation, body pleasures like intercourse cause harm. Big power always eats small power. Schopenhauer also felt his mental power when seeing beauty. Their pleasure doesn't die, it just changes into deep mental thinking. Renunciation and thinkers. Relationship is very deep. In the beginning, thinkers were like small, scared children. They were very afraid to stand in front of the world. What we proudly call reason and freedom today was bought very expensively. In old times, doubting or asking questions was a very big sin. What we today consider sign of strength was then insolence against God. Today we're choking nature with machines and consider ourselves above God. We're tearing through our own soul as if it's a nut. In history, thousands of people gave their lives for every step. What we call truth today was bought with thousands of years of bloodshed and pain. In old times, taking revenge and showing cruelty was real goodness. In the beginning, thinkers were either feared or considered hateful. To save themselves from people's eyes, they disguised as priests or magicians. To believe their own new words, they tormented themselves a lot. They were hungry to stay alone even while strong. To break old customs, they gave pain to their own bodies, like King Vishwamitra tormented himself for thousands of years to gain power to create a new heaven. Free-minded humans stayed hidden in priests' clothes for thousands of years, like colorful butterflies stay long in dirty black caterpillar shells. Has today's thinker truly become free? Does he have courage today to throw off that old priestly shell? Has he become capable today to take his own responsibility? Now the real game begins. We'll meet the priest who is the real owner of this ascetic principle. For him, this principle isn't just belief, but his power and reason to live. If this principle ends, the priest's existence ends. To save his life, he fights those who call this thinking wrong. Priests say this life is a wrong path that needs fixing. According to them, this world is just a bridge taking us to another world. The earth is full of people who hate themselves and life. This priest isn't of one race. He's found everywhere and in every caste. It's amazing how life itself became its own enemy. Here is revenge jealousy that wants to stop every power of life. It starts hating happiness, beauty, and good health. It deliberately finds pleasure in rotting, bearing pain and self-torment. Dying while suffering is considered this priest's biggest victory. When such sick people become thinkers, they start proving truth as lie. They say this body and world are just deception. They start hating their own reason because reason shows them truth. They say real truth is beyond our reason's capability, but in reality, there's no such thing as solid truth without self-interest. To see and understand, a perspective is always needed. The more different perspectives we see a thing from, the deeper our understanding. Those who say kill your will completely are making mind impotent, without will and likes-dislikes. Knowing any truth is impossible. This renunciation talk sounds very stupid. It feels like life itself became its own enemy. But truth is, this is a way to keep weak and tired life alive. Priests come as shepherds to all these sick, sad, and defeated people. They convince them to live again so the crowd of sick doesn't endure. Humans are the sickest animal in the world because they've done many new works and taken big risks. They've challenged nature and even God to test their power, so their being sick was necessary. Real danger isn't from bad people or beasts, but from these sick and weak people. These people secretly conspire against strong people's life and trust. They call their hatred justice and goodness and deceive everyone. They want strong people to feel ashamed of their power and happiness. We have to keep strong people completely away from these sick people's rotten, dirty air. We need clean air. We have to save ourselves from this meaningless pity and disgust toward humans. Healthy people's work isn't serving the sick. To handle sick, a sick keeper himself is needed. Here, the priest's real meaning is understood. Priests are keepers and masters of this sick crowd. Ruling over suffering is his kingdom and happiness. He himself has to be sick to understand their pain, but he also has to be strong and powerful, so the sick crowd trusts and fears him. He keeps the crowd away from healthy people. He hates strong and powerful people's power. He's like a cunning fox or cold tiger hunter. He knows magic to scare and torment. He first wounds and then pretends to apply medicine. When priests come, every healthy person becomes sick and every sick person domesticated. He saves this crowd from rotting and scattering. Every sad person wants to blame someone else for his condition. He wants to reduce his pain by venting anger on someone. This revenge jealousy works like intoxication. Sick people think someone else is responsible for my bad condition. Then priests tell the sick sheep, yes, there's a reason, but you're yourself the real cause of your suffering. This is completely lie, but this turns the path of revenge, jealousy. Priests created scary names like sin, guilt, and hell so sick people can't harm others. Instead of expressing hatred outward, he turns it against themselves. This way they get busy, cursing and controlling themselves. This is a way to use their own power to destroy themselves. This isn't real treatment, just mental ointment. This way sick people gather in one place called church. This creates a separate world for sick benefit. Is that strong and healthy people stay safe from this dirt and their mental defect. Humans being sinners isn't truth. It's just a wrong way to see bodies heavy, tiredness or weakness. If someone considers himself guilty, it doesn't mean he's really guilty. Remember old witch trials. Those women considered themselves sinners and judges also called them sinners, but they were innocent. This mental pain is actually body's system defect, physiological. Indigestion. Strong and right humans digest. They're past things like food. If someone can't forget his sadness or old things, it's not mental, but his body's defect. Is the priest really a doctor? Absolutely not. He just likes to be called savior. He just suppresses pain but never fixes the real cause of disease. Priest medicine is just deception that increases inner defect. Priests are great players in consoling. Christianity is a huge warehouse of intoxicating things. This religion puts tired and defeated people's minds to sleep. When whole crowds get tired, this religion gives them new intoxication. Humans. This tiredness comes from different reasons, like wrong diet or diseases like malaria or syphilis. In old Germany, such diseases spread after 30 years' war. When humans become very sad, they want to end life itself. First way to escape pain is to kill will completely. No love, no hate, no woman, no work. Just lie like animals sleep in winter. People call this holiness. But it's just a way to put oneself to sleep. Ancient Indian philosophers called this redemption. Buddha and Vedanta believe rising above right and wrong is real victory. For them, deep sleep is the way to meet God where no pain. This alone becomes their truth. Actually, these people are so tired of life that death like silence now feels dear. Another easy way to put pain to sleep. Stay busy and work all the time. Mechanical activity. Today, people call this blessing of work, which is a big deception. When humans work continuously, their small mind can't think about their sadness. Priests trap slaves, prisoners and women in this bound and rule-filled work. Priests give another medicine. Love your neighbor, helping Others gives humans pleasure of considering themselves a bit higher. This small pleasure is actually hunger for power, will to power. Sick people always want to live in herds because they lack courage to live alone. Strong people like living alone, but weak people feel powerful only by hiding in crowd. Priests, these ways are still straightforward. Now see his real dangerous paths. He creates such storm of emotions in people that their ordinary pain becomes numb. Today's so-called good people are very big hypocrites and liars. They call their weakness and fear high principles, idealism, and deceive even themselves. These people fear seeing their dirty reality and silence those who speak truth. If someone writes truth about them, they burn him. Today's educated class trembles all the time, fearing their cover being blown. They wrap their rotten thinking in goodness's sheet to fool the world. We should also doubt ourselves a bit. We thinkers are also victims of today's fake goodness. We may hate it, but this disease has entered us too. A great person said, "Never trust your first thought because it's often good." We should also stay away from our good thoughts. Now, back to our real talk. Priests create such emotional storm in people that their small, big sadness disappears. They want to pass soul through fear, big shocks like fire and lightning. They release humans' inner wild dogs, anger, fear, and cruelty. They use all this in religion's name. This treatment makes sick even sicker, but priests do it with complete honesty and faith. His aim isn't curing disease, but making humans' sadness and heaviness zero for some time. He wants humans to forget their rotten condition and flow in emotions. Priest's biggest scam is making humans feel guilty. He says, your torment's reason is you yourself, whatever. Suffering you're bearing is punishment for your own sin. As soon as sick humans accept this, they turn into sinners. They become like chickens drawn in chalk lines from which they can never come out. For last 2,000 years, only sinners are visible in the world. Everywhere people are whipping their own conscience with lashes. They stay hungry, torment themselves and cry, begging for redemption. Priests, this conspiracy has made life very painful but fun. People now don't want to escape pain. They shout, "Give me more pain." More pain. Priests have won. His kingdom has spread over the whole world. Priests. This medicine hasn't benefited anyone. What people call improvement actually means domesticating and weakening humans wherever. Priests took their punishment and regret way. Mental breakdowns and madness diseases spread. History witnesses that after this, whole Europe had people dancing, madly shouting death forever. This renunciation has damaged Europe's health more than alcohol or any dirty disease. Priests have completely rotted the taste of good books and art. I don't like New Testament at all because it's filled with small people, small thinking, and fake simplicity. In comparison, Old Testament is very splendid. There we meet strong, good-hearted, real and big people with their own separate glory. New Testaments, these small people behave with God as if he's their house servant. Even crude people like Luther talk to God casually without manners. In some unknown Asian countries, people don't even take God's name because they know etiquette. This renunciation is the biggest enemy of manners and good behavior. This renunciation has destroyed not just health and taste, but much more. My aim isn't to tell what it did, but what its real meaning is. What's hidden behind this thinking and what incomplete form it is. We have to understand exactly this. Renunciation has a purpose before which world's other things seem small. It sees every era and every nation only from its own perspective. This thinking doesn't bow before any other power and considers itself highest. People say today's science has defeated this old principle, but this is just noise by shouters without depth. Truth is, today's science itself doesn't believe in itself. It's not renunciation's enemy, but its newest and highest form. Many educated people today work happily in their small corners. They want us to be satisfied with this science, because much work is left in it. But just hard work doesn't mean science has any big purpose or truth. is science today is hiding place for those internally sad. It's refuge for those without big principle or big love. Our best educated people are busy and work day and night just to hide something from themselves. For them, science is like intoxication helping forget their reality. They fear only one thing, coming to senses and recognizing their disease. Now, look at those few educated who consider themselves very free. These people think they're biggest enemies of old religious principles, but in reality, they're its biggest slaves. Because they believe too much in truth. We've spies understood that when there's solid belief in something, often a big scam is hidden. Belief doesn't prove something true, it just makes humans feel good. Today's atheists and self-called free people are actually religion soldiers. They still worship truth, like old people worshipped God thousands of years ago. There was a group called assassins who were truly free. Their secret mantra was nothing is true, everything is permitted. This is real mental freedom, where humans even throw off truth's burden. Today's science also can't run without some old belief. Behind it is hidden the same old Christian thinking. Truth is God. These educated people are still running their work on that old fire. But if it turns out God is our biggest lie, then what's truth's worth? Now time has come to question truth's price itself. No. When I search for old principles' enemy, don't tell me science is talks. Science itself has no power. It can never create its new principles itself. Truth is science, and these old principles are two of a kind. Both worship truth as God and consider doubting it sin. Art is these old principles' real enemy because art makes lies fun. Ancient, strong people decorated life with art, but science cools life's passion whenever only educated. People and science dominate in a society. Understand that society is tired. This tiredness itself gives birth to weak ideas like equality and pity. Since Copernicus said Earth isn't center, humans started considering themselves small and useless. Science is convincing humans they're just ordinary animals, not God's children. Humans are now falling in their own eyes and sliding fast toward emptiness. This self-insult is just a new way to strengthen old principles. Kant didn't do great work by defeating God and soul. He just gave hypocrites new hiding place. Today's people who say we know nothing are just worshipping question mark. Their new argument is, we know nothing, so God must exist. This is old. Principles' very big victory, and humanity's very big deception. Today's history calls itself a mirror. It claims it won't judge anyone. It'll just tell things as happened. This is just new pretense and emptiness. This is all just ice-like cold and lifeless work. Here no hope or fun of life remains. Here only useless and everything finished like. Voices come. Some people call themselves artists and joke with history. These armchair-educated people are very dirty. Nature gave bulls horns and lions teeth. Nature gave me strong legs to kick these rotten chairs. I hate those who are impotent, yet talk big ideals. This is just a crappy drama to hide weakness. I respect those who honestly live by their principles, but I hate those bedbugs who pretend to be priest-like. These people are actually just clowns pretending greatness. These people are just drowned in newspaper, politics, beer, and Wagner's music. Intoxication. Their minds have completely stopped, and no power remains in them. Today's Europe is just trading in intoxication and fake ideals. This air is filled with much lie and bad smell. To clean this dirt, a fearless and strong hand is needed. We have to pick these fake messiahs and throw them across the sea. Only then will this world's air become fresh and clean. Again, we definitely have to become free from this fake goodness's intoxication. Enough is enough. These today's tangled minds, complicated talks, leave them here. Renunciation has only one real enemy, those who do its drama. Today's educated people call themselves atheists, but they're still slaves of truth. This hunger for truth is old religious principles' last and surest form. Christianity was destroyed by its own habit of speaking truth. Like every big thing eventually destroys itself at the right time. Similarly, this religion is also dying because of its own goodness. Now the question is, what's the real meaning of running after this truth? In next 200 years, Europe will have a very big spectacle. Here all old right and wrong games will end without this renunciation. Humans were just wandering sick animals. They had no purpose to live on this earth. Even behind every big success, they asked, what's the benefit of all this? Humans aren't averse to suffering. They're averse only to suffering without meaning. If humans get some purpose, they themselves search for suffering and are ready to bear it. Renunciation gave humans a meaning for the first time. It filled humans' emptiness and saved them from suicide, even if that meaning was of sin and punishment. At least humans had something to want with all their heart. But what kind of this will? This is a will that hates both humans and animals. This thinking fears every beauty, pleasure, and life's every happiness. This is a rebellion against freedom. This is all just a way to want emptiness. But humans' nature is such. They prefer wanting emptiness over not wanting at all. With this book is completely finished. We'll meet again in a new episode with a new book. Please like and subscribe.